You know what? Let's go for my big Terra boosted damage too. It's probably not an optimal use of my Terra, but we're clicking buttons and having fun. Terra, Psychic, Expanding Force, Helping Hand. Is there a sash on anything here? It also could be Assault Vest Curum, so I might want all this extra damage. Curum does survive. I do steal an Assault Vest from it. Let's go. That'll help Hoopa take the Blizzard. Welcome back to VGC Legends. This is the series where I spin a wheel, get a random legendary or mythical Pokemon, speed build a team around that Pokemon, try that team out on the Regulation J ladder on Pokemon Showdown. I almost said those two sentences in the wrong order just now. That would have been funny. All of which I do for the two reasons that one, I just really like legendary and mythical Pokemon, and two, that I have a fun little adventure, maybe learn some things as I go, because I try a bunch of different teams, and some of them are pretty good, and some of them are pretty bad, and you know the rest probably if you've made it all the way to episode 76 of this series, which is what this is. And I say legendary and mythical. I used to only say legendary because that used to be the whole series, but actually we said goodbye last episode, not only to Generation 8, but also to the very last legendary on the wheel. It is all mythical Pokemon from here, and any one of them would be a fitting ending to the series. Hoopa and Volcanion are both from Gen 6, the last gen added to the wheel, and one that's kind of having a moment as we finally got a third Kalos game recently. And of course, Pecharunt is currently the very last Pokemon in the National Pokedex. I don't know why Legends said A didn't add any new Pokemon. Maybe it will in Mega Dimension. Don't know at time of recording. Pecharunt is the last Pokemon in the National Pokedex. Would be a fitting end as well. But that's all up to the wheel, which one we end on. And we're not going to find out this time. We're just going to find out which one's next. Let's go. And we are finally returning to the Kalos region, just ahead of Mega Dimension, as it's time to explore Hoopa and see what I can do with that Pokemon. I have a suspicion as to what, but let's go check it out. And this is actually another milestone for this series, as barring some special secret Scarlet and Violet DLC that I don't know about yet, this should be the last time in the series that I have to choose one form for a Pokemon with multiple forms. The only two remaining on the wheel don't have that. With Hoopa, the choice is pretty clear. It's an intentional part of its design that one of its forms is stronger than the other. I see no reason not to use Hoopa Unbound. In fact, back when I was doing Ghost Month in October, I knew I could use Hoopa Confined as one of my featured Ghost types because there was not much chance that I was picking it in this series. It's a tiny bit slower than Hoopa Unbound, but even then a little bit faster for Trick Room Pokemon. But Hoopa Unbound has more special attack, a bunch more physical attack, just more stuff in general. Actually, its stats are otherwise the same except speed. But yeah, there's a clear choice here. I've seen Hoopa Unbound sometimes in this format as a size spam Pokemon because base 170 attack gives you, special attack gives you a really, really strong expanding force. Stronger even than Lunala. I think it has higher base special attack than Shadow Red or Calyrex just by a tiny bit, isn't it? Calyrex has, 165, so 5-point difference, but that's a really strong expanding force. And actually, while I haven't been using outside resources very much in this series since I made the switch to Regulation J, I did take a look at one that I'm not sure I've used before, the VGC Pastes repository, which does now have teams for Regulation J, but I was actually surprised at what I saw scrolling through this. I had to scroll for a while to find a team with Hoopa on it. I guess there's not been a whole lot of Hoopa in this format. I thought it was one of the more used mythicals. It does sort of occur to me as I think about it now that I don't think I've seen very much of it recently. But I scrolled for a while before I found this one team that uses a physical life orb Hoopa. Obviously, copying teams is not what I do in this series, but I was looking for inspiration a little bit, and yeah, there was less to be found than I expected. I did also pull up Munch stats, and sure enough, Hoopa is only at 0.19% usage. Mostly on, like, balancy size spam stuff, judging by... Actually, these are the common teammates, but... Is that cut off? You can't see the numbers. Indeedee is the only teammate that a majority of Hoopa Unbound have with them. The next highest is Rapid Strike Urshifu at about 39%. And then everything after that starts with a 2 or a 1. So there's a wide variety of different teammates, I guess. But a majority of them have the 4 moves: Hyperspace Fury, Protect, Trick Room, and Expanding Force. At least each one of those moves has majority usage. And that's the kind of thing I have in mind, and it raises another interesting possibility with Hoopa. We have 2 very high attacking stats here, and mixed attackers don't tend to be of much value in a VGC format, but with base 160 physical attack, and with a signature move in Hyperspace Fury that hits through Protect, breaks Protect actually. The difference there is hitting through Protect means your opponent can't protect around this attack. Breaking Protect means your other attack that comes out after this one also hits when they went for Protect. So that's even better. Yeah, and I can click that into Lunala or Shadow Rider Calyrex, and as a Dark type, I'm not even weak to their stabs. I mean, that's something, that's the beginning of a niche for Hoopa Unbound if ever I'm going to find one, right? So I think it is going to be, wrong tab. I think it's going to be these 4 moves. I don't feel that strongly about Trick Room, actually. I think I might want to do fast size spam. Yeah, Hoopa Unbound is a really weird Trick Room Pokemon, right? Because it's even faster than Magearna, which is already in kind of an awkward speed tier for a Trick Room Pokemon, and that can work if you're running into a lot of fast teams from your opponents, and I am running into some lately, but I feel like most teams I'm running into lately are Tail Room teams, right? So they have their own Trick Room mode where Hoopa would not match up very well into that, even if they're not hard Trick Room teams. That said, it's a pretty underwhelming list of other moves to think about, right? I mean, I think I do want to invest mainly in special attack and just have Hyperspace Fury as an option to remove Protect and hit Lunala and Shadow Rider. Maybe Trick Room is worth it anyway because it's situationally useful, and I'm really not inspired by these other options. Like Dark Pulse, I could run that in Hyperspace Fury on the same set. I could run Nasty Plot. I don't see Nasty Plot here, but I think Hoopa does get it. Terra Blast with some interesting Terra type. Oh, people are running Iron Ball on it to make up for the speed. Okay, that makes sense. Because it is in an awkward speed tier. What Terra types are people running on this thing? Dark is the most common. Psychic. But then you don't want Terra Blast with either of those. Steel, Fairy, Ghost, Poison. I don't know what direction I want to go with this thing. I could do Iron Ball Trick Room stuff. Actually, I did just do that with Mesprit a couple episodes ago, but Hoopa's going to be a lot better at it. And the thing is, so many teams on this ladder have such good speed control. If I run Hoopa with Tailwind, my opponents probably have faster attackers in Tailwind. If I commit to Trick Room and no Iron Ball, then my opponents probably have slower stuff in the Trick Room. Maybe I do want... I mean, I'm not very inspired by Iron Ball Trick Room here, but maybe that is the best answer. Does Hoopa get Trick? Not Trick Room, but Trick. Does it get that move? Of course it does. Give an Iron Ball to an opponent. Is there any way that could be advantageous against opposing flying types in terrain? Probably not. The move Trick Room is more valuable, I think. I definitely want Indeedee. That much is obvious. I guess if I'm going in a Trick Room direction, then I probably want like Ice Rider Calyrex, Ursaluna, Torkoal, and maybe Smeargle. Or an Urshifu of some kind. Yeah, an Urshifu is kind of what this is missing, right? Because the fighting type coverage complements Hoopa pretty nicely, and also Ice Rider Calyrex to an extent. Do I want Ice Rider Calyrex? I mean, that's usually the go-to on Trick Room, right? Era Magearna. But I think I'm better off with Ice Rider. And yeah, like Single Strike Urshifu, maybe? Give me a little bit more insurance into Lunala, and also a way to beat down... Pick your Dark type. So that would look something like... That. I don't have to run Torkoal. I could run Smeargle and Urshifu. Decorate Smeargle. Wrong Calyrex form. Whoops. Imagine if I somehow didn't notice that the whole way through, though I can't imagine how that would happen. This is not very inspiring, but it's a team. And I bet Hoopa will be very strong on this team. It kind of feels like I'm just using Hoopa as Lunala with a higher special attack stat and dark typing, but, you know, maybe that's a niche. Hmm. And Hyperspace Fury into opposing Lunala is nice to have, especially if I run Terra Psychic, and then I can power up the Expanding Force and also turn off my weakness to Moonblast. So, in the end... The other thing, though, is Hoopa getting Magician. If I could run, like, a Focus Sash on it and have a chance to steal an opponent's item at some point... Although in the Hoopa Confined video, I already stole a bunch of items, and Hoopa didn't do a whole lot much more than that, but that was funny. I don't think I need to worry about it now. Yeah, honestly, this is about what I thought Hoopa would do in this series. I didn't have the whole idea in my head, but I'm a little underwhelmed, but I'm not really surprised. Let's do Rocky Helmet and DD just because I like it these days. And with Terra Grass, I can deal with Rapid Strike or Shifu if for some reason I need to, and I can also have an immunity to Amoonguss. The Iron Ball also reduces Hoopa's damage output versus using a Life Orb, but hey, Lunala doesn't run Life Orb either. What can you do? We don't have to get creative here. We can just Follow Me, Helping Hand, Psychic, and Trick Room. As so often we do. I'm not even... I've used the same sets on these Pokemon so many times, I don't even feel like I need to fill it in on recording. And we'll go with Focus Sash, Single Striker Shifu. We have the Sash available. This is a team where we want things to be slow. I could Terra Dark to maximize the Wicked Blow, or I could Terra Stellar to maximize anything once. I don't think Urshifu will need to sit on the field for a long time and throw off a bunch of attacks, so I think Stellar is a little bit better. Sucker Punch feels counterintuitive when I have Psychic Drain, but of course Psychic Drain is not going to be up at all times. And there may be situations where I want this. I guess we run Detect. I could run some kind of coverage like a Poison Jab or Iron Head, but I don't think I really need it. And for Shifu's EVs, probably just... I have the option to go fast with it, right? Because with the Focus Sash, do I really want to invest in bulk? But on the other hand, with the Hard Trick Room team, do I really want to go fast? I mean, we can just give it some bulk anyway, and then with the Focus Sash, it can take like a Magurna Dazzling Gleam or something, right? A Lunala Moonblast. There's still some attacks that one-shot it, even if I give it some defensive EVs, so it still makes sense. I think it's fine. Let's cut to the finished team. I did forget one thing that I had to think about, and that is the Terra type on Calyrex, but thinking about it might not be the right term to use in this case, because, I don't know, I've gone Terra Dragon because I felt like it. Just vibes. Is like good resistances. It'll probably be okay. Also, I had a realization. I don't know how I didn't think about this in the part that I recorded, but all the more reason to use Iron Ball, Trick Room, Hoopa. I can invest it in attack and special attack at basically no cost, right? I'm using a speed-lowering nature anyway. Actually, I just have a really strong mixed attacker here. I have EVs available for attack because I'm not putting them in speed. This thing's gonna hit hard. That's all there is to say about that. Also, I thought I might as well just go straight to the builder here because look at Shiny Hoopa Unbound. It's really interesting shiny, right? Like, it's a little bit loud, but it's supposed to be. It very well represents what this Pokemon is about. Really solid shiny. Unfortunately, can't use it. Anyway, onto the ladder. Arceus Chien-Pao. Oh, haven't seen that duo in a little bit, I think. Normal Arceus, at least, with Chien-Pao. Incineroar, Miraidon, Farigiraf, Landorus. So Indeed Elite is guaranteed Trick Room and stops their priority for a bit, except it's not actually guaranteed Trick Room because they could have Imprison on the Farigiraf, and they could even have no Imprison but just have Trick Room. However, if I lead Hoopa, I can threaten Farigiraf immediately, right? So if I lead Indeedee Hoopa, I can Follow Me Trick Room with Hoopa, or if I see the Farigiraf, I can instead, if I so choose... Oh, people are running Room Service Hoopa because then I can steal items. I think I'm going to make that change after this game. I just realized why some people are running Room Service instead of Iron Ball and Hoopa. Wow, some things are not clicking very quickly for me today, huh? Hopefully that won't affect my gameplay. If it's Frigga Athlete, I can Hyperspace Fury it and Trick Room with Indeedee. One hopes. Let's bring these. And let's... I don't see any need for Torkoal in this one. No, Urshifu could be good in this one, because it can take an Extreme Speed and Wicked Blow or something. I think Ursaluna's better here. It's just so strong. Yeah, with Room Service I can actually have a way to use Magician. And look at that golden shiny that they actually get to have, and for some reason I don't. But there's no Frigga Athlete, so this Trick Room should be pretty free, shouldn't it? Let's say something I'm not thinking about. Does Arceus get Trick Room? It probably does, but I don't think you would run it on this team with that move. Weird day for speed building for me. I'm missing a lot. Hopefully not so in-game. Champao is here. They just set up a Swords Dance with Arceus. So, I mean, in this position, I can just Expanding Force the Arceus. It would go into the Champao slot as well, but of course, that's immune. Maybe they think I have Drain Punch and they Terra Ghost, but I don't think so. But I want the big damage into Arceus anyway. I'll just follow me to redirect Champao's attack. It probably will be Ice Spinner to break the terrain. Actually, it switches out. Okay, so I don't get the spread Expanding Force. It is for the best, I think, that I targeted Arceus here. It wipes out Indeedee with an Extreme Speed, takes some Helmet Chip. With its Life Orb, that goes down to a quarter. Unfortunately, without my Psychic Terrain, Hoopa doesn't hit as hard as I'd like, but I can go Calyrex now. I think Calyrex can handle +2 Arceus Extreme Speed. If they Extreme Speed Hoopa, that's fine. That's free Chilling Naze. Yeah, just Expanding Force. They can't Terra Miraidon, so it's a Sitting Duck into the Glacial Lance. They've just switched this slot every turn, which has been of some benefit to them because they got to change the terrain and then they got to crit me with Expanding Force. So yeah, actually, I guess that was a fine way for them to approach this game. I was gonna comment on it being kind of passive, but I guess they knew what they were doing. All right. Well, quick game, and then we move on to the next one now with Room Service Hoopa. Let's go ahead and click Hyperspace Fury into Champao. An Earthquake, hopefully without the guts on Ursaluna, my Hoopa takes this Earthquake and can knock out the Champao through its Focus Sash. Oh, Hoopa's slower after the Iron Ball, of course it is. Yeah, some things are not clicking for me. Champao does survive, unfortunately. Ursaluna survives an Icicle Crash, but that's not going to matter. The Champao will have a priority attack. Also, it's the last turn of Trick Room anyway. I can Terra Ghost to get out of that, but the Champao will have a priority attack. Terra Ghost is my only out here, though. Because if they fake out and for some reason don't click priority... Oh, that actually is what happened. But Incineroar survived the Earthquake, so... if Ursaluna just weren't intimidated, but of course Incineroar coming in is what does that. But if only. Or crit on Incineroar wins that. Played to my outs, didn't quite work out. Alright, on to the next one. Urshifu, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Tornadus, Clefairy, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Huh, this is like an early Reg G team. This might actually be a Wolf Glick team, I don't remember for sure. But I know he was working with Clefairy Shadow Rider early in Reg G, and this person does only have one restricted Pokemon, and it is that Shadow Rider Calyrex with a support that I think a lot of people were experimenting with for it early on in the Clefairy. With Friend Guard and Follow Me, Helping Hand. Synergy is pretty obvious, but yeah, it is single restrict. It is like somebody just fired up a Reg G team from the early end of the first run of that format. Interesting thing to run into here. Let's lead Hoopa Indeedee again. Pretty safe Trick Room, and then just start blasting. We bring Calyrex. Do I bring my Urshifu to help me check their Urshifu? That's not even that good if it's Rapid Strike, but what is that good if it's Rapid Strike? Let's bring it. Also, it more importantly helps into their Calyrex. And if this is an early Reg G team, they might not even have a Fairy attack. They might not have an attack at all on Clefairy. Torn Ursh. They could have Ice Spinner. It's not impossible. Actually, Taunt is the bigger worry. But actually, none of that's really a problem if I just Follow Me and Trick Room. I mean, I would like to have my terrain still up after that. They also could switch Rillaboom in and change the terrain with that, but it's Incineroar switching in, okay. U-turn Ursh. Is it Rillaboom coming in? No, there's no way they didn't bring Calyrex. It's Tornadus, Incineroar. I think I'm down to just keep clicking follow me so Incineroar can't do anything to mess with my Hoopa. I'm just Expanding Force. At least that can threaten the Torn. Could be Sash Torn on a team like this. Well, we don't get to find out. We do get to steal its Covert Cloak. That's kind of fun. Don't know if that'll actually come in handy. Now, problem is Incineroar and Champao have both been able to just sit in front of my Hoopa, and then Ice Rider Calyrex is not a great answer to them, so maybe there was a better second restricted I could have picked. But Single Striker Shifu is also pretty solid for this position, I would think, right? I can close combat the Incineroar slot, and if they Terrastallize, then they're vulnerable to the Expanding Force. Also, Terra Psychic Expanding Force would have hit hard enough to take out the Tornadus, unless it has a Sash. So I should probably think about clicking that Terra Psychic button more aggressively, although I don't think this is the position for it. Maybe it is, actually, because maybe Incineroar Terrastallizes and takes the Expanding Force. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Okay, they switch in their Urshifu, which gets knocked out by the Expanding Force. No Terra on the Incineroar. They do get a parting shot into Urshifu. So this close combat is not going to hit the target I wanted. It is very nice for me that they didn't bring Rillaboom. At least for a couple more turns, they can't bring Incineroar back in with Fake Out Pressure. We do knock out the Torn with close combat. So actually, yeah, Fake Out Pressure is now off the board for the rest of the game because Incineroar has to come in now. Let's just click Hyperspace Fury and Wicked Blow into the Calyrex. They could protect it this turn. Oh wait, but if they protect it, I just break the protect with Hyperspace Fury. Never mind, perfect. They could Terrastallize it into a Dark type, maybe. Maybe I'm actually better off clicking Hyperspace Fury in close combat. But no, I think I'm not, because if it has a Focus Sash and it doesn't Terrastallize, then it's immune to the close combat, so I don't think I can risk that. Let's make sure I'm clicking the right attacks. Hyperspace Fury and Wicked Blow it is. Should still do a lot of damage. They tried to Fake Out. They can't do that. Maybe they forgot about the Psychic Terrain because of the Trick Room background. That happens to me sometimes. Considering how this video's gone so far, I'm a little bit pleasantly surprised that it didn't happen to me this time. Let's just Hyperspace Fury and... I'll just close combat. I was thinking about the Terra Stellar there, but I'd rather have the Terra Dragon for Calyrex if I need it. If somehow the Incineroar gets past my Urshifu, because Hoopa shouldn't do very much to it, right? Yeah, Hoopa having nothing good to hit Dark types. Well, maybe it just means Urshifu is more important in some matchups than I realized. Yeah, is there a better second restricted that I could be using for this team instead of Ice Rider Calyrex? It's really hard to not bring Ice Rider Calyrex on Hard Trick Room. It's just so good. It probably is the right answer, that it's just so good I can't pass it up. But I mean, what would it be that would be more helpful into Dark types? Like a Dialga, right, or Palkia would be better into Dark types than Ice Rider Calyrex is, but that's not saying a whole lot. Zamazenta doesn't really fit this team, I don't think. Koraidon certainly doesn't. I think my opponent timed out. Or yeah, I think they just... Can I call this rage quitting? I don't know why you would do this. Like it just like it's not a big deal because it doesn't waste very much of my time. It's not like they're actually hurting me by doing this, but it does waste a little bit of my time, so it is. I don't know why I clicked Wicked Blow there. It didn't matter though. It is, you know, something they shouldn't do just because it's rude, but it's also not actually hurting me. So I don't know why some players do that. Maybe maybe they just like were pulled away for an emergency or something. I shouldn't be too harsh on my ladder opponents when they're anonymous people online and I don't actually know what's going on with them. But when somebody does that at the end of a game in a lost position, benefit of the doubt, maybe they weren't being rude, but it does tend to look like it. Terrapagos, Incineroar, Wellspring Mask, Ogre Pawn, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Rillaboom, and Urshifu. So they could actually... What could they do? They could get rid of my Psychic Terrain turn 1 by Terastallizing the Terapagos if they want to commit that. But then what can they do after that? Take something out? I think the... I think the Indeedee lead is fine. I think I'll lead Calyrex with it this time, because that has better means to do damage into Incineroar, and a lot of this team is pretty soft into Glacial Lance. So I'll bring Hoopa in the back this time, Calyrex in the lead, and I'll bring Urshifu because it's good into both of their Restricteds and also Incineroar. Okay, Terapagos, Incineroar. So they actually can turn off my terrain and fake out, but like, what do they accomplish by doing that? I'm not really sure. So I don't think I have to be afraid of it. Also, if they use their one-time Terraform 0 turn 1, then I probably can get a chance to switch Indeedee out and back in. And it's easier said than done with this team, but might be doable. Yeah, they don't do that. I think that would have been silly. They're probably looking to knock Indeedee out and then get the Terraform 0. I could switch to Hoopa here, because if they go for another knockoff, Hoopa will have already consumed its item. They won't get the damage boost. And Hoopa's not weak to knockoff, and it preserves Indeedee to set the terrain back up later. So let's Glacial Lance, and maybe I Terra Dragon. Maybe I don't in front of Terapagos. You know what, let's High Horsepower Incineroar and switch to Hoopa. They protect Terapagos. What do they do into Calyrex? It's Will-O-Wisp. Okay, well Terra Dragon wouldn't have protected me from that anyway, and Glacial Lance can still chip some things. Actually, maybe I'd rather High Horsepower the Incineroar again to make sure I KO, and then I can Expanding Force the Terapagos. Or, oh, this Hoopa speed ties with my Urshifu after Room Service. I didn't think about that since Room Service was such a late addition. Anyway, Expanding Force into Terapagos. We take out the Incineroar here. They do use the Terraform 0. This will be a little bit weaker than it could have been. We steal leftovers from Terapagos, so that's actually kind of valuable, taking away its recovery. Ogre Pawn is here. Can I just... I think it's either Glacial Lance Expanding Force, or it's Switch Indeedee in Expanding Force. Or it could be Glacial Lance Protect, actually. Get some chip, let Calyrex go down this turn, but I only have 2 Trick Room turns left. I should probably take advantage while I have them. Although if I think double Protect is coming out from my opponent next turn, then I could click Trick Room with both Indeedee and Hoopa. I actually think I'll play toward that. So let's Glacial Lance and Protect here. It's Helping Hand, Terra Starstorm. Glacial Lance first. Crits Terapagos, not bad. I think this turn they Spiky Shield and Protect to try to get out of my Trick Room. I could lose the game on the spot if they don't do that, but that's what I'll cover for. They protect Terapagos. They protect Ogre Pawn. Perfect. And so I reset my Trick Room and then set it right back up. And now I can Helping Hand, Terra Psychic, Expanding Force. And they don't have Terraform 0 available anymore. So big damage coming out here. Takes out both their Pokemon. Hoopa gets a little bit of leftovers recovery and they forfeit. Very nice. That's probably going to be the game of the video for Hoopa, but let's see what else we can get. That was a good satisfying one. I'd like to get something like that. Arceus, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Tornadus, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Champao. I continue to see Arceus, Champao, the duo I tried at the very beginning of this format, apparently popping back up on the ladder once again these days. Maybe this one will actually bring their Rillaboom to the game. Let's see. But we're going to start off with just Calyrex and Indeedee. We're going to bring Hoopa. We're going to bring Urshifu. I feel like that's the mode for... Well, unfortunately, I feel like that's the mode for when the opponent has a threatening dark type, but like every opponent has had a threatening dark type because Incineroar is really good and Champao is really good. We haven't seen any Chi-Yu, but that's also really good. So Urshifu and Torkoal are kind of just spectators lately. Or Ursaluna and Torkoal. There I go, mixing up bear names again. But hey, Urshifu also is strong into both of their restricted, so what am I going to do? Not bring it? They can Ice Spin here if they want, but they shouldn't have a good way to stop the Trick Room, at least. Yep, there's Ice Spinner. Swords Dance on the Arceus. They can Extreme Speed now. I can at least follow me this turn. Or I could switch Indeedee out, preserve it, be able to set the terrain back up later like I did last game, but what am I bringing in for Indeedee when they probably want to get rid of Indeedee? Let's just Glacial Lance and follow me and hope that it's okay from there. I mean, I also have the Focus Sash on Urshifu, right? So maybe that can take a hit and knock out the Arceus. The problem, I guess, is if there are 2 priority attacks coming out from these Pokemon. Well, let's see what this Glacial Lance does. Big damage. Let's go Urshifu right now. Let's Glacial Lance and Wicked Blow. And hope for the best. Let's Terrastalize Calyrex so it's not weak to Sucker Punch. I don't know if that makes a difference. Does it take +2 Extreme Speed and Sucker Punch if that's what they go for anyway? It probably doesn't, right? So let's not do that. The Extreme Speed goes into Urshifu. The Sucker Punch goes into Calyrex. Okay, the Terra Dragon might have been nice there, but we take out Arceus. We get a Nay. It's Wicked Blow to Chien-Pao instead of Close Combat, but it still KOs. There go both of their priority Pokemon with 2 turns of Trick Room left. They can't safely protect in front of Single Strike Urshifu. They could Aqua Jet it here, so I think I'm going to go for Sucker Punch into the Calyrex. They could get around that with a Protect, though. Maybe Wicked Blow is better. They surely have Aqua Jet on their Urshifu, though. I'll go for the Sucker Punch. They can play around it. They do. But they don't make me feel silly because I called the Aqua Jet correctly, so what else was I going to try there? And now, on the last turn of Trick Room, I have these 2 in. This is why people run Iron Ball Hoopa. It's 1 point faster than Calyrex, which means Hyperspace Fury will come out after Calyrex's attack. The reason that matters here is Hyperspace Fury will break the attack, the Protect on the opponent's Calyrex, but assuming it has a Focus Sash, Hyperspace Fury won't KO, and then if Glacial Lance came out after that, it would KO, but since it doesn't come out after that, I'm going to make the double Trick Room play again. I actually think that's my best out, because otherwise I think they can just protect their Calyrex and survive this, and then beat me next turn. Aqua Jet? They just Draining Kiss Hoopa. It's Life Orb Calyrex. I worried about that for nothing. But do I lose to Aqua Jet into Hoopa now? I hope not. I'm just going for Hyperspace Fury into Calyrex. Doesn't look like there's anything they can do about it unless Aqua Jet KOs the Hoopa. But you can see what I was thinking there, right? If it's Sash Calyrex... Did I see a Sash on Chien-Pao earlier? No. So I don't know whether that had it or not, but it probably did. They Aqua Jet Calyrex and it doesn't KO, so we're actually fine. Hyperspace Fury takes out their Calyrex. A stressful endgame that in the end was totally fine as we also yoinked that Life Orb. But yeah, so what I was thinking there was if they have the Focus Sash on the Shadow Rider Calyrex, I can Hyperspace Fury, knock it down to Sash, but then they get out of Trick Room and they can beat me with their 1 HP Calyrex after that. And if only my Calyrex were faster than my Hoopa, I could have that use Glacial Lance after the Hyperspace Fury and it would be into a Broken Protect and then it would KO their Calyrex and we wouldn't get to the end game where they beat me outside of Trick Room. It was fine in the end though, everything worked out. I guess that's why you run Iron Ball instead of Room Service on Hoopa if you're the majority of players making that choice. However, I'm having fun yoinking items, so I'm going to stick with the Room Service. And min-speed Calyrex can be really valuable in some positions, so I'm not going to make an adjustment to make it faster than Hoopa. We're just going to live with this one small relative flaw in this team. It's in most positions it should be fine, right? By the way, hard Trick Room, I was worried that this hard Trick Room stuff wouldn't work anymore after how the Mesprit video went, but more evidence I think that Mesprit was the weak link there. Turns out having a way stronger Psychic type attacker, and by the way, one that has solid coverage with the Hyperspace Fury. makes a big difference. It also makes a difference that I'm running Urshifu on this one. Urshifu's been really good. Oh, we got opposing Trick Room, maybe? This is actually screaming out weak armor, weakness policy, Armarouge to me, though. So they have a couple different ways they could play this, probably. Girna, Ice Rider, Calyrex, Armarouge, Indeedee, Annihilate, Riolu. It's... Obviously, I see Annihilate, but I think Scarf Final Gambit. It totally could... Actually, you know what? It probably is Scarf Final Gambit for the Magearna, but it's probably also Scarf U-Turn for the Terra Psychic or Terra Grass, but probably Psychic. Weak Armor, Weakness Policy, Armarouge. How do I beat all this stuff? Well, Hoopa is immune to Expanding Force. I don't know how well it takes a +2 Heat Wave, but... I feel like Hoopa's a pretty solid lead here. I'll lead it with Indeedee. Is Calyrex even good here? I think I'd rather have Ursaluna and Urshifu, or even Ursaluna and Torkoal, but Torkoal's a little scary because Armarouge probably has Flash Fire, and I only have Fire-type attacks on Torkoal. Let's bring Ursaluna and Urshifu. Let's just throw... I don't know what to do here. My opponent's team has a bunch of different synergies, and it's hard to stop all of them. Let's just throw some bears at them and see what happens. Here we follow me, Trick Room. Final Gambit goes into Indeedee. That's better than it going into Hoopa. Oh, wait, Magearna gets the +2. No, they knock out Hoopa before I get the Trick Room. It doesn't work. It does work. They also clicked Trick Room. So now I have -1 speed Hoopa outside of Trick Room. That's really unfortunate for me. Okay, well, what I'm going to do here is not waste my time trying to get Guts. Just protect Hoopa. And Terra... Ursaluna is probably faster than their Calyrex, because once again, to avoid a speed tie with my own Calyrex, I've not run min-speed Ursaluna. I don't think I need a Terra Ghost to take a Glacial Lance before I just rip a Headlong Rush into this Magearna, but let's see. Terra Water. Headlong Rush isn't going to do enough anyway. Nope. Would have KO'd without their Terra. We just lose Ursaluna to that. Now I can Wicked Blow Magearna, so that's something. That's definitely something. Honestly, I don't know if I want Trick Room here, because then Urshifu should also outspeed their Calyrex. Let's just Hyperspace Fury. Do I really want to lower my own Hoopa's defense here? Yeah, I don't think it matters that much, honestly. Let's just Hyperspace Fury the Calyrex and Wicked Blow the Magearna. Wicked Blow does not KO. Magearna pretty physically bulky. I do forget that sometimes. GG. Okay, well, this was a tough matchup for this team. Sometimes it's just like that on the ladder. Ice Rider, Calyrex, Kyogre, Indeedee, Urshifu, Torkoal, Annihilate. They got Trick Room. They got Annihilate without Magearna on a Trick Room team. That's interesting. What form of Urshifu do I think this is? I feel like it could be either. This Single Strike gives them good coverage for some of this team, but Rapid Strike is powered up by the rain. They have dual weather. That's kind of odd. How do I beat this? I don't know. I'm going to do Indeedee Hoopa, but I'm not necessarily going to click Trick Room turn 1. I might just want to go for Expanding Force, depending on what I see. I'll bring Urshifu for sure. I could bring Torkoal just to turn off their rain. And then it can also threaten their Ice Rider. It's a little suspect into some of their other stuff, but I think we do that. I think we leave the Calyrex behind this time. Let's see if that actually pays off. Annihilate... Single Striker Shifu. That's a rough lead for Hoopa. I think I do go for Trick Room here, because then when they knock out Indeedee, I can... They don't have a Trick Room setter on the field, so they can't reverse it or seal it right now. When they knock out Indeedee, I can get Torkoal in and underspeed everything, except their own Torkoal if they brought it. I think that's the best I can do to create a threat here, so let's Trick Room and follow me. It's probably Final Gambit into Indeedee, yep. Then I just need Hoopa to take a hit from the Urshifu. Which it doesn't. Okay, so much for that. Alright, well... Yeah, okay, other This might be part of why people are not using Hoopa much. I'm really having some difficulty with other Trick Room teams here. I really am. Let's Terra Stellar and Wicked Blow Kyogre. Hope I win what could be a speed tie, but doesn't have to be. And just do big damage. They Terra Ghost their Urshifu. Close Combat Mine, knock it down to the Sash. Oh, was Kyogre going to outspeed my Urshifu now? It is very slow Urshifu. It does outspeed, but they go for Hydro Pump into Torkoal, so I do get the Wicked Blow into Kyogre. I go for Heat Wave with Torkoal. It just misses the KO on Kyogre. How often do you see a Heat Wave get that close? Oh, I get the burn! We get the KO on Kyogre. Let's go! Oh, Torkoal absolutely clutches up, knocking out Kyogre with Heat Wave, sort of. But I lose to their Urshifu now, right? Is there any way that I don't? If they attack my Urshifu instead of my Torkoal, I can knock these out with Heat Wave. I just need my opponent to make a mistake, but, like, that could happen. Let's do that. No. Actually, their Calyrex is faster than my Torkoal, so that didn't work anyway. They did the thing I was hoping for, but I was mistaken. It was not a mistake. Oh well. Ups and downs for Hoopa, as it is for most mythical Pokemon in Regulation J, unfortunately. Mythical Pokemon are so weird and cool, but weird and cool does not always equal good. In fact, it often doesn't. But Hoopa's had some moments in this video. I'm not saying Hoopa's a bad restricted Pokemon. Hoopa is so strong. And I built this team in, what, like 10 minutes? I'm sure there are better things that could be done with it. Maybe that Life Orb physical one that I didn't look very closely at. Rillaboom, Lunala, Zacian. Haven't seen a Zacian in a little bit. Urshifu. Nope, Ursaluna. I don't know. These bears, what can you do? Wellspring, Mask, Ogerpon, and Chi-Yu. The other super strong dark type. Okay, let's... This team is tricky because Trick Room is not necessarily favorable when they have their Ursaluna and Lunala, but I think I just lose to Zacian if I don't set Trick Room right. Maybe Torkoal can beat it, but nobody else. Does that mean I have to bring Torkoal to this matchup? No, I think it means I have to set Trick Room and overwhelm Zacian and just live with that, making the Ursaluna harder to deal with. Let's lead Hoopa and Didi. Let's bring Calyrex and Ursaluna in the back. There's a case for Torkoal, but I don't think it's quite strong enough. Okay, Rillaboom, Zacian. That's a pretty good lead for me. I get terrain control turn 1. They can't fake out. I can redirect an attack from Zacian into Indeedee. I think it's about as good a lead position as I could have asked for. Depending on what they have in the back, it could still be difficult, but it's a strong start. Crunch Zacian, didn't see that one coming. It's actually kind of unfortunate, I think, that it doesn't knock out Indeedee. Never mind, they double into Indeedee, knock it out. A little bit of Helmet Chip on both their Pokemon. They bring Ogerpon in here. That's awkward because Ogerpon can redirect an attack from Ursaluna. However, Hoopa and Ursaluna will speed tie. I was going to say I think my play here might actually be just hope that Hoopa wins the speed tie and I knock out Ogerpon before Ursaluna attacks, but no. I do go Ursaluna here, but I protect Terra Psychic, just get the biggest expanding force I can. Get my Flame Orb for next turn. No speed tie to worry about. Takes out Ogerpon. That does a lot to Zacian as well. It's play rough to snipe the dark type. Turning off the weakness doesn't matter. Zacian's just that strong. But now I have Ursaluna and Calyrex with 3 more turns of Trick Room. Their Zacian is weak. I do get grassy terrain, so they can fake my stuff out here. I've used my Terra, so I can't Terra Ghost the Ursaluna to avoid Rillaboom grass attacks. Might be nice if I could. I can't afford to mess around with this Zacian. I'm just going to high horsepower and headlong rush it. And one of those attacks will come out. There's water on the Rillaboom. They protect the Zacian. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to say I saw that protect coming. It occurred to me as a possibility, but I thought it might be too passive for them. But now I understand why it's valuable for them, because Rillaboom still does something. That said, they do take away their fake out pressure. So I can high horsepower the Zacian here and click Facade into Rillaboom, and maybe I still get something good out of this. They switch Zacian out to Lunala. Breaking Shadow Shield is good here. Facade knocks out Rillaboom. Okay. Once again, this is not going as badly as it could have. I'm in an awkward spot now because it's going to be the last turn of Trick Room. Zacian can protect. I don't have my Terra anymore. That Terra Psychic was a little bit reckless, I guess. I think Zacian protects because it has to avoid a Headlong Rush. So I'm going to Glacial Lance, saying they don't Wide Guard here, and I'm going to Headlong because Zacian's protecting anyway. They don't need to protect it from... There's not really a good spread attack into it here anyway. I'm just going to Headlong Rush into Lunala. They protect Zacian. Lunala doesn't go for Wide Guard, and it doesn't go for Protect. So I think I can actually win here, right? Because I can knock Lunala out, and then Zacian doesn't have any spread moves. It can only knock out one of my Pokemon on the next turn. Do I just high horsepower? So I could high horsepower and Headlong Rush. I think that's correct. I think that's what I'm going to do. I could Trick Room and Protect Ursaluna, but I think that can lose because they can read that, knock out the Calyrex before I get the Trick Room up, and then knock out the Ursaluna on the next turn. So yeah, I don't know if high horsepower does enough damage. I hope it does, but I think this is definitely my best play here. But also, they do have that incentive that I mentioned to attack the Calyrex, so that means Ursaluna is free to attack. That actually works out just fine. Calyrex also survived, so I could have set the Trick Room back up, but I didn't think that would happen. But Ursaluna... I guess if I thought that through a little bit more, yeah, because they have such an obvious reason to Behemoth Blade Calyrex, because I could try to pull a fast one and get the Trick Room back up. That means they don't attack Ursaluna, so actually I was fine there. The Headlong Rush is pretty free. We'll see when I get another opponent here what happens next. Miraidon, Farigiraf, Incineroar, Whimsicott, Ursaluna Blood Moon form, and Shadow Rider Calyrex. Alright, Eel Viper, exclamation mark, has a very scary team here, fitting their name. Glacial Lance goes crazy into this team. Ideally, I get to set Trick Room first. The Farigiraf might not let me. Maybe I should lead Hoopa, actually, because I can Hyperspace Fury the Farigiraf. It's not great necessarily if I get intimidated by Incineroar, but... let's try that, yeah. I can follow me, protect it from a Miraidon attack. Glacial Lance does still go crazy into this team, especially if I get Trick Room up. And I think we bring... do we bring Ursaluna or do we bring Urshifu because it can threaten this and this? But Ursaluna threatens everything. But Ursaluna is more Trick Room dependent than Urshifu, but still. I think that's the kind of game this is. I just hope I get Trick Room up. They lead Incineroar, Miraidon. Okay, that's alright. The Pokemon I was hoping not to see in the lead was Farigiraf, and I do in fact not see it here. Could be Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, Miraidon. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to protect Hoopa and click Trick Room with Indeedee. There are ways they can punish that too, but... yeah, maybe I'm getting too fancy here, but we'll see. Volt Switch into Indeedee, and is it knockoff into Indeedee? I really hope it isn't. You turn into Hoopa. Okay. Alright. Taking advantage of that double bug weakness, which is still a problem this turn. But I can follow me in Hyperspace Fury Farigiraf now. It's -1, but it should still do good damage, right? Oh, if not for the Intimidate, that KOs. I get an Electric Seed on the Hoopa, that's funny. When Miraidon comes back in, but they do get to reverse my Trick Room now. The one thing I really didn't want. You know what? I think here I go Calyrex. I click Glacial Lance. Keep the Farigiraf uncomfy. And I actually think I do click Terra Psychic on the Hoopa to improve its chances of taking a U-turn and try to get the Trick Room back up with that. It feels like a really silly play, but I actually think it makes perfect sense here. Helping Hand. Knock off. No, why didn't you go for a U-turn this time? Also, I had a free Trick Room there. I could have just clicked Trick Room with the Calyrex. Maybe I'll still get the chance to do that, but now I can't Terra Dragon the Calyrex. Okay, options here. Protect Calyrex and Earthquake. Protect Ursaluna and Trick Room. That's very safe. That's very predictable. Headlong Rush Miraidon and Trick Room. They Volt Switch Calyrex. It doesn't KO, but now they can knock off into it. I think I just lose when this Trick Room doesn't go up. No, they knock off Ursaluna's Flame Orb, so I won't get the burn, I won't get the Guts boost, but I do get huge damage into their Calyrex basically for free. And my Trick Room up, and now I can Earthquake and protect my Calyrex. They don't have Farigiraf to reverse the Trick Room anymore. They needed to double target my Calyrex there. I think I just lost if they did, but they didn't. Terra Fire Incineroar? Did they forget to set a Terra type, or is that what they wanted? It doesn't help them take the Earthquake, that's for sure. And now it's Miraidon, and now I just, I think I Headlong Rush that and Glacial Lance. Okay, that went pretty well. Just gonna do a quick pause in the recording and then I'll be right back to close out the rest of this. Okay, I'm back. Let's wrap this thing up. Maybe I'll even edit this so it looks like there wasn't a cut. We'll see. What are you playing? I actually have to go fairly soon. I've taken a couple losses. We'll play to one more. Surely it won't take too terribly long, especially as I run into this stuff again. This is the same opponent, isn't it? Battle of the Bulge. Actually, did I beat Battle of the Bulge earlier? I know I lost to some other Trick Room players. Not sure about this one. Well, let's just do what my team does. My restricted is bad into this restricted is bad into their restricted. So let's bring these guys. Maybe that's overcooking a little. We'll see. What my opponent comes up with here. Okay. Calyrex Magearna. Let's see if they set Trick Room for me here. Hyperspace Fury. I could also just click Dazzling Gleam and make me sad, but let's see if they do. Or not. Hyperspace Fury, Helping Hand, let's go. We just KO the Calyrex there. They do Dazzling Gleam, we survive, but neither one of us has Trick Room. That's a funny game of chicken that we have going there. And they DC. Let's see if they come back. Don't think they liked their Calyrex going down turn 1 like that. This is a really funny game of chicken, though. Me not clicking Trick Room, thinking maybe they'll just reverse it if I do. Maybe they thought the same thing, I don't know. And then we just throw off our attacks and do big damage. And they don't come back, GG. Oh, White Kyurem, that's cool. White Kyurem. I almost thought for a second they didn't have a second restricted, but it is hiding down here. White Kyurem, Tornadus, Alolan, Ninetales, Urshifu, Zamazenta, and Rillaboom. This is a cool team, and if they set Aurora Veil, which they might well do, that could be kind of a problem for me. Nonetheless, I think we just throw this at them. Do I even bring the Ice Rider? You know what? Yeah, I can benefit from their snow too. Or I can turn their snow off with Torkoal, and I can bring Urshifu, Ursaluna. Let's just bring Calyrex and Torkoal. Calyrex is just so strong. Okay. It's Tornadus Kyurem, so they shouldn't... They shouldn't have anything for Protect and Trick Room, right? Indeedee being bulkier than Hoopa, that's my pick. Set the Trick Room in front of this obvious Blizzard. Indeedee survives, doesn't get frozen. That was a risk there. And then I think I can just... You know what? Let's go for my big Terra boosted damage too. It's probably not an optimal use of my Terra, but we're clicking buttons and having fun. Terra, Psychic, Expanding Force, Helping Hand. Is there a sash on anything here? It also could be Assault Vest Kyurem, so I might want all this extra damage. Kyurem does survive. I do steal an Assault Vest from it. Let's go. That'll help Hoopa take the Blizzard. Oh man, I don't even know what I'm clipping for the beginning of this video. There's so many options. Torkoal is super threatening into like everything they have left except maybe Urshifu. I was probably going to bring it in there. I don't have to decide. They forfeit. Stealing the Assault Vest and taking the Blizzard somewhat better because of that is so funny. I'm so glad I switched to Room Service Hoopa. Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Zamazenta, Raging Bolt, Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Chien-Pao. These three again. Probably I should bring Urshifu. Maybe Ursaluna. Let's bring Urshifu. Ursaluna's scared of Grassy Glide. Urshifu not so much. And Urshifu's just really strong into so much. Meloetta, LMAO. Did I play you when I was using Meloetta? Oops, I have caps lock on. Did I play you when I was using Meloetta? Question mark. Chien-Pao, Rillaboom, follow me, Trick Room. Yes. They miss a Ruination, they land a Wood Hammer, they miss a chance to knock out Indeedee. Oh, all high again. Once again, Hoopa has trouble with a strong Dark type being on the field. That's a real issue for it, but whatever. Expanding Force, follow me. They bring in their Calyrex, that'll at least get its sash if it has one broken by the Expanding Force. Pull out to you too, opponent. Steal Life Orb from the Calyrex. Confirmed no Focus Sash. It's probably on Chien-Pao. Probably go Urshifu here, right? They're Chien-Pao with that. Since I think it has a Focus Sash, I'll Wicked Blow instead of lowering my own defenses into the Chien-Pao. Let's Hyperspace Fury this and Wicked Blow this. They switch out to Rillaboom. I can't imagine that takes the Hyperspace Fury super well. Nope. The Life Orb boosted now too. We Wicked Blow the Chiampao down to its Sash. They Icicle Crash Hoopa and knock that out. I don't get to do more with that Life Orb, unfortunately. They have now opened up. Not only have they turned off this thing's ice resistance, but they've also, by bringing the Rillaboom in, opened up Sucker Punch to me. But I don't need it because I still have Trick Room up, so let's just Glacial Lance and Wicked Blow. Protect. That does not help them with the Wicked Blow, unfortunately for them. So we take out Chiampao, we get to +1. We take out Calyrex, I assume. There's no way it survives that. I don't know why I hedged. And that leaves just Zamazenta. Urshifu's Sash is still intact. I can Terra Dragon, high horsepower, and close combat. Big damage, big damage. Doesn't quite KO, but they can't win from here, as Body Press just knocks Urshifu down to its Sash. They don't even get a KO this turn. GG once again. Don't know what happened when I played you with Meloetta, but that's fun that they remembered that. I do have a somewhat better mythical Pokemon this time. Ice Rider, Kyogre, Indeedee, Urshifu, Torkoal, Annihilate. This is definitely a repeat opponent. I remember that weird double weather. Maybe I'll just stop after this game, win or lose, because I have to go soonish, and I'm getting multiple repeat opponents now. Let's play this one out before I make a final decision. What did I bring last time? I don't remember. Well, let's just bring a bunch of my strong stuff. They lead Single Striker Shifu and Annihilate. Is there Wicked Blow one-shot Hoopa? I think that did happen last game, didn't it? I think I lost to them last game. Maybe not, but I do remember getting got by this. I think this is losing. I've just gifted them my Focus Sash, and I don't think this actually helps me win the game. It was close combat. That probably takes out Hoopa anyway. I've just gifted them my whole Urshifu, and I don't think that actually helps me win. But maybe I can do this. Terra Dragon, resist the Water Spout, not be weak to the Wicked Blow. I'm threatening damage from this guy into their Urshifu. Well, I'm threatening that, but let's actually go for the Kyogre. The Water Spout is so scary. We take a Wicked Blow after the Dragon Terra. We take a Water Spout. We lose Urshifu. Couldn't Sucker Punch here, of course, because the Psychic Terrain was up. They can't Sucker Punch here either. If they have Sash Urshifu, and I don't remember whether I know that or not, then I need to double it, but then I just lose to the Kyogre. So I just have to hope it's not Sash Urshifu. Hyperspace Fury, Kyogre, and Glacial Lance. I switched Kyogre out. I could have just doubled the Urshifu. No! We crit the Urshifu, but it does have the Sash. Hyperspace Fury does a lot to their Calyrex, but they can knock something out here. We steal Clear Amulet. That's funny. They knock out Hoopa. Honestly, that is the better thing for me. It is not impossible that Calyrex sweeps this game. One way to find out. Of course, we could also be speed tying their Calyrex. In fact, we probably are. Their Ghost. Game ended. Yeah, they win the speed tie. Alright, well, it was a really fun run with Hoopa. I talked about being a little bit uninspired by this Pokemon because, okay, it's another Trick Room size spam piece. But actually, Hoopa really lived up to his mythical Pokemon building because it was really cool and interesting in a few ways. Number one, really high attack stat along with the special attack, so I was able to invest in mixed offense. No problem when I don't care about speed anyway because I'm running Hard Trick Room. Number two, room service in Hard Trick Room with Magician was so funny. There were a number of times that I stole an item and it was actually useful. And it's just such a silly ability. I love to see it. it activate. And number 3, of course, Hyperspace Fury, giving me that coverage into opposing psychic types that resist the Expanding Force, and they can't even protect around it, which is really strong in hard Trick Room when protect is a extremely valuable tool that your opponent has to stall out the Trick Room and get into a very strong position by doing that. So I know earlier I was a little grumbly. I kind of regret it now. I was like, hard Trick Room with Hoopa, size spam Trick Room. Okay, let's do it. But actually, Hoopa has so many weird little tools that nothing else has, at least in that combination, that made it a really funny hard Trick Room Pokemon in the end. I don't think I'll be using a team like this for either of the 2 remaining Pokemon on the wheel, so this was a very fun send-off to this playstyle. I feel good about this one. And I feel good about the future as we head back to the wheel next time with only 2 Pokemon remaining on it. And for the very last time in this series, an open question as to what's next.